Hello, Stephen White, Steve Arts 89 here. I thought I'd do a little video review of It Part 1. Now, I grew up with the original It. I bought the book when I was a kid. I tried to read it. It was too long. I hadn't long started reading. Um, but I watched the video, and I'm kind of lucky that we got the miniseries presented as, well, we got it on video. I don't think we got it on TV. In Australia, we got it on video as one 3-hour video. So you could just watch the whole thing, and I rented it, watched it. I didn't have to wait for the second night. That wasn't in two parts like the original TV presentation in the US. And I really enjoyed it. And I know everyone I knew watched it, and we all loved it. And, you know, what's the matter, girly boy? You know, they all float. You know, things like that just became part of our language. And Pennywise was just someone that we always parodied or thought of. He just became this instant sort of evil sort of character, like Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees, or someone that was like legendary. And you know, you never kind of looked at a drain again the same way. And I really loved the original. And what I loved about the original, I think, well, I mean, I liked the story, the children, and then the growing up and the backwards and forwards of how they're how you saw how they grew up, how it changed them. You know, there was consequences and evolution and change and backwards and forwards, and it was interesting the way they did it. The thing I think that didn't work for me with the current It is that they split the stories into two separate movies. And the first movie, it's good because it's the kids, because that's the more interesting story, not necessarily what happened to them later and how they changed and how they sort of beat him the second time. Oops, spoilers. But this one, I mean, I think, okay, the second film started the other week, and I was going to go see it, and then I thought, I can't remember anything about the first film. Like, all I remember was the scene where the bullies are beating up the black kid, and it's obviously racist. And I'm like, is this set in the 80s? It's like they moved Stephen King's story from the 60s into the 80s or whatever it was originally set, and they didn't like change and update because it just seemed really not 1988, 1989 when I was watching that. And that's the only thing I really remembered about it. And I thought, well, I probably should rewatch the first film, before I see the second one. So I didn't see it that week. And I went to see it the next week, and I forgot to watch the film again because I was busy. And I thought, well, I can't see it again because, I cannot remember the first film. And I know there's stuff I'm not going to get in the second film because I don't remember what happened in the first film. The fact I didn't remember the film and I didn't really enjoy it, I didn't really engage, I wasn't scared by it. I wasn't scared by Pennywise. The original Pennywise, he was so weird. You sort of looked at him and you sort of were fascinated by him, and the evilness wasn't obvious. That slipped out. You could believe that he could fool children into thinking that he was a clown and he was their friend, and that children would talk to him. The new Pennywise is so obvious evil, a villain. His teeth, his eyes, his glowing eyes, everything about him is so obviously evil. No kid would go near that thing. If you saw him in a drain, you'd run. If you saw Pennywise, the original Pennywise, in a drain, you'd be like, what the fuck is a clown doing down there? And like, how did you get down there? It wouldn't, it's like the other one, you'd immediately react out of like self-preservation if you saw that clown coming at you. So I think they took a lot out of the film by making Pennywise not ambiguous at all. He's just pure evil from the start, and it's just lazy. And I do this a lot with horror movies. They just make it really obvious who the evil person is and just make them either gory or use a lot of quick editing to make them startling somehow, and that's supposed to scare you. It really doesn't. The fact that he vibrates like some electronic force or something as he runs towards people really isn't that scary. And especially if you have a high visual acuity and you can actually be aware of exactly what they're doing with the camera and with the editing and with his movement, it's not remotely scary. It's just a gimmick. It's an editing trick. It's a staged thing. It's an effect. It's not scary. Like the original was scary because of Tim Curry's performance. He was creepy as hell. And it started off subtle and then it just became kind of over the top, but it still was believable somehow. I don't know, it just worked. And it still works. He's still creepy. The new Pennywise, no. And the new film, it's 2 hours, the first one. The second one's 2 hours and 40. It was 2 hours and 8 minutes. You do get into the kids' stories. They are likable, but there's not enough there. You really miss the extra storytelling of the other elements and the adult story and the relationship between that and the kids and their older selves. You really miss that in the first film. It just seems really cut off and kind of separate and on its own, and it doesn't really resonate on the same level, and it isn't scary. The kids do act it well. It's beautifully shot. It's cinematic. The first thing I noticed was just the shots in the rain of the SS Georgie and that. It's great, but it's just lacking somehow. So I watched it last night just to remind myself so I could see it today. I normally see my movies on Sunday. When I go out, I do stuff on Sunday, and it's just easy to go to movies on the way home afterwards, so I don't have to go out and do a whole night just to do the movie. So I've waited 2 weeks to see it. Everyone else has seen it. And the main criticism I've heard is that it's too long and that the adult story is boring. And by separating the two stories, they've sort of made two different films. So you can't sort of have the same experience with the two films. It's not a part one and part two. It's like two different films about different people and different 27 years later in their lives. So I think that's going to be something I'm not going to enjoy about the film. But I have also heard that they actually do show some scenes with the kids and that they actually have to use de-aging technology with the actors because the kids age so much between the films. So that does sound like that the second film does do some flashbacks and looking back, which is good. So I'm just going to watch it tonight and hope that it's good. I hope that it's better than I think. And I just wanted to sort of say something about this one because I did kind of enjoy it. It's kind of a modern horror movie, and the problem with modern horror movies is they focus too much on beautiful cinematography and makeup and gore and not enough characterization and atmosphere and letting you scare yourself rather than just throwing something at you with giant teeth, vibrating and screaming and, just trying to overload your senses. And if you're aware of what you're seeing, it doesn't work. If you're not, if you're just one of those people who just gets stuff thrown at you and just gets overwhelmed by it, then you might actually be scared by that thing coming out the screen, but it didn't do anything for me. So I'm just going to watch part 2, see how I like it, and then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch the original again because I've got the Blu-ray, and I'm pretty sure the Blu-ray is in widescreen for some reason. It's been scanned from film. I think it was recorded on film. I think they scanned it on film and they've actually restored it like it's a feature. So I'm going to have a good look at that and compare that to the DVD and do a bit of research about the video, just because I love comparing different forms and variations of movies, and doesn't matter. And then I'm going to actually listen to the audio book because I've got that, because I'm never going to read the book. It's just too long. I know that's bad, but the reality is it's not going to happen. And my voice is going a bit, so I'm going to go. But I'm going to do an IT review later tonight, and hopefully it's good. And hopefully I've given someone something to think about with this. So thanks for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, even share, and comment. I'd love to know what you think of the film because I love reading comments, and no one comments on videos. They just look for a few minutes and go. It's like, damn. I did a Madonna video that got a few views the other week, and I got a lot of comments, and it was great talking to people and hearing what they thought about the subject and my video as well. So I'm going to stop it before I get to 10 minutes, and see you after the movie. Bye.